Hello and welcome to Deakin's Virtual Open Day. I'm Sophie from Student Finance. Our area covers fees, scholarships and financial assistance. We're thrilled to have you with us today to find out everything you need to know about fees and HECS Help. The information in this session is for domestic students. I wish to begin by acknowledging the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nations, the traditional owners of the land on which we are gathered today. We pay our respects to the local people for allowing us to have our gathering on their land and to their elders, past, present, and future. If you are joining us today as an international student, we have international study experts available all day via web chat. You can click on the yellow speech bubble icon on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. You can also watch the following information sessions to learn more about joining the Deakin community. Apply to Deakin as an international student, fees and scholarships for international students, and international student life at Deakin. So today we'll look at terminology, what is a CSP, how much will your fees be and where to find out what your studies will cost, how to pay your fees, applying for HECS Help including eligibility, the HECS Help loan limit, paying your help debt, and the student services and amenities fee. So terminology, trimester and semester. These are both study periods, and depending on what course you are enrolled in, will determine if you are studying in trimesters, which occur 3 times a year, or semesters, which occur twice a year. Invoice due date. This is the date shown on your fees invoice to tell you when your fees are due to be paid. Commonwealth supported place, or a CSP as we like to call it, is a place at university where the government pays part of your fees. This part is a subsidy, not a loan, and you do not have to pay it back. Student contribution. The subsidy does not cover the entire cost of your study. Students must pay the rest. This is called the student contribution amount. Help schemes. Help is a loan offered by the Australian government. If you choose to pay your fees via a help loan, the Commonwealth Government pays your tuition fee or student contribution directly to Deakin. This amount is then reported to the Australian Taxation Office and becomes your help debt. Request for Commonwealth Assistance form. This is the form you must submit to accept an offer of a CSP. Eligible students also use this form to apply for and request a HECS Help loan. This form is completed as part of your enrolment. And the census date. This is the most important date when you are studying. It is the last date to amend your enrolment and to finalise your tuition and other fees. Each study period has its own census date. So what is a CSP? A CSP is a Commonwealth supported place at university available to domestic students where the government pays part of your fees. In a CSP, the tuition fees for your course of study is split into 2 parts. The subsidy amount. The Australian government pays a share of the tuition fees directly to Deakin. And the student contribution amount. You pay your share of tuition fees. If eligible, you can use a HECS Help loan to pay your student contribution amount. Or you may choose to pay your fees up front, or use a combination of an upfront payment and HECS Help loan. Tuition fees depend on the units you study and when you commenced your course. Your fees may vary each study period as your enrolled units change. Unit costs for Commonwealth supported places. The rates are set annually by the government. Unit fees can vary depending on the units you are enrolled in, not the course you're enrolled in. Each unit is classified under a specific field of education code, which determines the fee to be charged. You can find more information about unit fees on the Deakin website and also on the Government Department of Education, Skills and Employment website. So how much will your studies cost? Tuition fee information is available via the fee estimator on the Deakin website. I'll take you through a couple of examples now. By entering your details below, our fee estimator can give you an indication of what your course fees could be, letting you make an informed decision about investing in your future. Your course tuition fees depend on the type of student you are, the course you study, and the year you commence. Our fee estimator shows you the tuition fees for the course you're considering at Deakin. So we'll just scroll down. So you select your student type, Australian citizen, the fee type, Commonwealth supported place, the study location, we'll choose campus-based, and the course commencement year. If you don't know the course code for the course you're interested in, you can just start typing a word that you think may be in the title of the course. And you can see nursing there, Bachelor of Nursing. So we just click there. And you can see that the indicative tuition fee for 2022 for 1 year of full-time study is $5,110. If you happen to know the course code for the course you're interested in, for example, S320, Bachelor of Science, you can type the course code in directly. You can see there that the estimated 2022 tuition fee for the Bachelor of Science based on 1 full year of study is $7,774. But please note the course fee shown is indicative only, and actual fees may vary. The estimated course fee is based on the tuition fees cost of undertaking 8 credit points of study in the course within the specified year. But it does not include non-tuition costs that may apply, such as the student services and amenities fee, or books or equipment. So invoicing of your tuition fees. You'll be invoiced for each study period, not the full year at once. Your invoice will be itemised, listing all the units you are studying, and your invoice will show the due date of the fees to be paid. Always look at your invoice and check you are correctly enrolled. If you add or withdraw a unit before the census date, it will change your invoice. So make sure you view your invoice again if you amend your enrolment. So paying tuition fees. If you are enrolled in a Commonwealth supported place, you still have to pay some of your fees, a student contribution. If eligible, you could get a HECS Help loan to defer payment of your student contribution. Option 1, you can defer all of your student contribution to HECS Help. So what is HECS Help? HECS Help is a loan offered by the Australian Government you can use to pay your student contribution. HECS Help does not cover accommodation, technology, textbooks, or your student services and amenities fee. You can only get HECS Help if you are enrolled in a CSP and meet the eligibility criteria. Option 2, pay all or part of your student contribution up front and receive a HECS Help loan to defer the balance. If you choose to pay all or part of your tuition fees up front, you may be eligible for the Australian Government upfront discount. So HECS Help eligibility. To be eligible for a HECS Help loan, you must be studying in a Commonwealth supported place, be an Australian citizen and meet the residency requirements, which means you must study at least part of your course in Australia, be a New Zealand special category visa holder or permanent humanitarian visa holder and meet the residency requirements, submit the request for Commonwealth support and HECS Help form, the ECAF, by the census date, and have read the Commonwealth supported places and HECS Help information booklet. Be enrolled by the census date, meet the tax file number requirements and have a unique student identifier, have enough available help balance at the census date to pay your student contribution amount, and meet the completion rate requirements for new enrolments from 1 January 2022. So how do you apply for HECS Help? When you accept your course offer and enrol, you'll be stepped through the Request for Commonwealth Assistance form. This form is where you can choose to pay your fees in full upfront or use HECS Help. To apply for a HECS Help loan, you will need a tax file number and a unique student identifier. The Government Help Discount. This is available for students in a CSP who are eligible for HECS Help. To reduce the amount you defer to HECS Help, the Australian Government provides a discount on upfront payments made prior to the census date. This means if you make an upfront payment directly to Deakin prior to the census date of $500 or more, you will receive a discount on the payment amount. This discount is not on the overall amount you owe. It's calculated on the payment amount. The discount effectively increases the value of your upfront payment. The discount is a government incentive to pay upfront, fully or partially, and will decrease your student debt. For examples of how the discount is applied, go to the Study Assist website. The help loan limit. So how much can you borrow? You can borrow or defer to your help loan up to the combined help loan limit to pay your tuition fees. This includes all fee help, vet fee help, and vet student loans, and any HECS help loans incurred from the 1st of January 2020. Once you begin using your help loan limit, the amount of help you have left to borrow is known as your available help balance. For 2022, the help loan limit is $109,202. If you plan to study medicine, dentistry, or vet science, or eligible aviation courses, the help loan limit is $156,847. You can check your help balance on myhelpbalance.gov.au. So how do you repay your help debt? You pay back your help debt through the tax system once you earn above the compulsory repayment threshold. You do not pay your help debt to Deakin. The threshold changes each year. For the 2022-23 income year, it is $48,361. So this means you do not start paying your help debt back through the tax system until you earn over that amount. You would normally complete a form with your employer and they deduct the repayments for you. So the Student Services and Amenities Fee. This fee helps to pay for important services such as counselling, welfare, sporting and recreational activities, and as well as independent student representation. The SAF is charged twice a year, and the amount you pay depends on whether you're a full-time or part-time student and studying on campus or by Cloud Campus. You can defer this fee to a help loan called SA Help or paid up front. Each year, the university seeks feedback from students on how this fee is used. So there are two numbers that you need to enrol in a CSP. The first is a unique student identifier. If you're a domestic student intending to study at university, you'll need a USI to be eligible for a CSP and help loans like HECS Help and SA Help. A USI is your individual education number for life. You only need to create it once, and it's free. So you can apply online on www.usi.gov.au. It should take less than 5 minutes. And the other number you need is a tax file number. This is a unique number the Australian Taxation Office provides and is your personal reference number for the taxation system. It's free to apply for a TFN. If you're an eligible domestic student enrolling in a Commonwealth supported place at Deakin and you wish to use HECS Help, Fee Help or SA Help, you'll need a TFN. If you don't have one yet, you should get one now. We recommend you apply early as it can take up to 28 days after your application and interview to receive your tax file number. For more information about getting a TFN, go to www.ato.gov.au. Scholarships. Scholarships are often more than just a financial boost. They're a chance to make university a reality. Whether it's for recognition of academic merit or a commitment to study, we're here to support your journey so far. You can view our scholarships on-demand video for more information and join us for the live Q&A scholarship session. So just to recap, to find out how much your course will cost, refer to the fee estimator on the Deakin website. Remember to get a TFN and USI now, and for more fees information, go to the Deakin website. Thank you for joining us. You can join the live Q&A session later today to get your questions answered, explore the resources on this page and across the virtual Open Day website, chat to our experts on web chat at any time, and join us on campus at Open Day in August to experience our facilities, soak up the campus vibe and talk to experts. Hello and welcome to the Everything You Need to Know About Fees and HECS Help live Q&A session. I'm Sophie and today I'm joined by our presenter Pamela. This session is for domestic students only. If you are an international student, please refer to the Virtual Open Day webpage for information sessions and on-demand videos for international students. If you'd like to ask a question, please type your question into the Q&A section in the question panel on this page. Our fees experts, Josephine and Sue, will be ready to respond to your questions. We will do our best to respond to all of your questions during this session. If you have any unanswered questions at the end of the session, our team of experts will be available on web chat all day to assist you with any questions, including any specific international student-related admissions or fee queries. At the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you will notice a yellow Chat Now icon. Please click on this after the session to be connected with our team. Okay, to kick us off, Pam, while we're waiting for some questions to come through, I was just wondering if you would like to take our viewers through where do I find CSP rates for 2023?
Hi, Soph. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to show this. I do love talking about fees, and I do like to explain where students can find information about fees. So Deakin has something we call the fee estimator, and the fee estimator gives a first year indicative course cost for students, and it can show full fee paying places as well as Commonwealth supported. So I think this ties in nicely with the question that you've posed. So what I'll do is I'll just share my screen now. Just bear with me as I click a couple of buttons to do share. And you'll see that I've got the fee estimator up currently on my screen here. It actually is formed part of the fees and costs page, which you can find just through study, and then fees and scholarships, and then fees and costs. So whilst you're on the page, you can click estimate your fees, and it will bring up the fee estimator. And the fee estimator, you need to know a couple of questions or answer a couple of questions, and it can provide the course cost. So again, indicative first year course cost. And you're going to ask me what indicative means. And so an indicative course cost is all about what would a average student undertaking this particular course, or the course that you're wanting to know, what would they have paid in fees for 2022? And we sort of estimate that by looking at what the average enrolment is for students, and then we apply the CSP rates. So I'll just type in some information. So I'll select Australian citizen. I'll select Commonwealth supported because that's what you're asking about. And currently we've only got 2022 information. We will, as we move through the year, have 2023 indicative rates, but for the purposes of today, we're 2022. And then down here is the course that we would like to have information for. So I will type in some sort of indications. So if we're wanting to know nursing, and it does help if you actually spell it correctly, this will give me a list of courses that have nursing in the title of the course. So I'm going to choose Bachelor of Nursing here, and it's telling me the indicative first year cost is $5,110. So we've got a lovely little link here, which will take you through to the course page. And so you can find out information about Bachelor of Nursing in that sort of space. If it wasn't nursing you're interested in, and perhaps it was education, and again, does help if you spell it correctly. Education, I do apologise for everyone. I can't see my screen. Oh, I just reset that one. Sorry, I'll start again. Australian citizen, Commonwealth supported place. 2022, I might just type in primary actually, so we can get primary education, Bachelor of Primary Education. And the indicative first year cost is $4,935. So the way, oh, do we have any questions online, or can I continue, Soph?
Oh, Pam, we actually have a couple of questions coming through.
I will pause,
yep.
and then I will probably answer them as we go. So answer away.
Okay, no worries at all. So the first question is, how do I know if I'm eligible for a CSP or HECS? So there's two questions within that one question. So we might take the first part. How do I know if I'm eligible for a CSP?
Okay, so generally there's some rules around Commonwealth supported places, and they're defined by the government. So a Commonwealth supported student is one where the government pays a portion of the fees and the student pays the other portion. So the portion that the student pays, we invoice, and the portion that the government pays, is called a government contribution. And that's why the government puts rules around the type of conditions that they put on. So if you're an Australian citizen or a permanent resident or holder of a permanent humanitarian visa holder, and you're enrolling in an undergraduate degree for the first time, you're more than likely going to be put into something called a Commonwealth Supported Place. The Commonwealth Supported Place, or CSP as we like to call it, has some conditions on it. So you have to have a residency, particular residency. So for an Australian citizen, they have to at least be doing some of the course in Australia. For a permanent resident, some New Zealanders or holders of a permanent humanitarian visa holder, they have to be fully resident in Australia whilst they're undertaking their course. But generally for an undergraduate degree, such as a bachelor degree, any of those sort of citizenships should be receiving a CSP, but the information will be provided in the course offer.
Great, and thank you for that, Pam. And so how would someone know if they're eligible for HECS?
So for HECS in particular, so the government does have some good websites as well as Deakin. So there are some criteria for HECS help, similar to CSP. So if you're undertaking a Commonwealth supported place and you're an Australian citizen and you're going to do some of your course in Australia, then yes, you would be eligible for HECS help, and you would be completing a HECS help form as part of an enrolment process when you accept your course offer at the university. So the government does have conditions, as I mentioned. So part of that is the residency requirement, the type of fee place. So HECS help goes with Commonwealth supported, fee help goes with full fee paying place. The government has introduced a couple of new eligibility requirements around student learning entitlement, so the number of years you can get as a Commonwealth supported student, low completion rate or completion rate, so you have to maintain a satisfactory completion rate of at least 50% of unit attempts in order to qualify for HECS help or CSP. As well as concurrent studies, how much study you're undertaking at a particular time. The government has put some limits on that concurrent study. So all that information is available on our fee website as well as the government Study Assist website.
Okay. Oh, thank you for that, Pam. Sorry, I was having bit of trouble with my internet connection there. And that's a nice segue into our next question, and that is, how do you apply for HECS help?
So we can apply for, as a student, when you're enrolling at the university, you would complete a HECS help form or a Commonwealth assistance form as part of the enrolment process. HECS help is a loan, and so it does need to be repaid. And the Commonwealth assistance form actually is the loan agreement between the student and the government, and we just facilitate it as a university. And it's part of the enrolment process. So I would recommend, because two important numbers are needed, and I'm sure you're going to ask me these later, so I may as well cover them off now. So the two important numbers that you need as a prospective student or a student enrolling at a university is a USI, a unique student identifier, which you can get off online, and a tax file number, again, which you get through the tax office. So if you don't have either of those important numbers, get them now. But if you do have them, then write them down or put them somewhere safe so that when you do enroll, you've got them handy.
Okay, thank you. And Pam, just for everyone who is watching, does it cost anything to apply for or to get a tax file number or a USI?
No, it doesn't cost anything. There are links available on Deakin's website, which explains the application process. If you don't access it through the Deakin website, you can just type USI directly into one of your search engines, and the government's USI website, so unique student identifier website, will pop up. Or if you just look on the ATO site, you can find out how to get a tax file number. Getting a USI should only take no more than 10 to 15 minutes. It's really quite quick. You do need some documents, so maybe a birth certificate, a driver's license, or your passport in order to get the USI. With the tax file number, you do need to go through a process and visit a post office usually to get your tax file number if you don't have it.
Thank you for that, Pam. And just while we're waiting for some other questions to come through, I'm just wondering if you could explain to our viewers, when would they start paying back their help debt?
So there's this concept with the Australian government called an accumulated help debt. And an accumulated help debt is a combination of all help schemes. So your HECS help, your fee help, any OS help, or any SA help, all consolidate to an accumulated HECS debt, or help debt, sorry. When a student's income reaches a particular threshold, and I'll just grab that in a minute, the students will generally then start paying it back through the tax system. And it's normally through the employer when they complete their employment forms or tax file declaration forms with their employer, the employer will start deducting it. If the employer doesn't, then the ATO will consider that when a student completes their tax assessment in a year. And so my understanding, and I'll just find it as I scoot through my questions. So the repayment threshold currently is $47,014. That's for the 2020, I think that's 2022, 21, 22 tax year, I think it is. So that's the current threshold. We haven't actually gotten to the next year yet. So that's when a student will start repaying their help debt.
And this threshold is set by the government, isn't it?
Yes. So it's publicised on the ATO's website every year, and Deakin also pops it onto our website just for easy reference for students. But the debt isn't repaid through Deakin, it's actually repaid through the student to the tax office.
Yes. And this might be a nice time to discuss the upfront payment option that students can undertake instead of deferring all of their fees to HECS help.
Yeah, so when a student enrolls at the university and completes the Commonwealth Assistance Form, a student can nominate whether or not they want to pay the fees upfront or whether they just want to defer the full amount to a HECS loan or to a fee help loan. So that's the nomination as part of the enrolment process, and a student can change that at any time. But students just need to be aware that if they do say that they want to use HECS help to cover their entirety of their fees, their invoice won't actually show as anything as being owing. But it's just really important that the student still looks at the invoice just to confirm that their enrolment is correct, they're understanding how much their education is costing, and they're just prepared for when the accumulated help debt needs to be paid back. And so the government in 2022 offers a 10% HECS help upfront discount, so that if a student pays any amount over $500, they get a 10% discount on the amount paid. So not the full invoice, but the amount paid over $500. Our understanding at the moment, it was an election promise to remove that HECS help discount. So we're anticipating some legislation being put before Parliament before the end of the year. And so what we would suggest to students is just be prepared and watch this space, because we believe that the removal of that HECS help discount will apply from the 1st of January 2023. So it's just something to be aware of. But if you're enrolling or you're thinking about starting your studies in trimester 2 and you're wanting to pay your fees up front, it certainly applies for the 2022 academic year.
Great, and thank you very much, Pam. And we did touch on it, or you just touched on it then, but we do have a question. How do you find out how much HECS you owe, and how do you read your Deakin invoice? So a two-pronged question there.
Okay, so the Deakin invoice, I'll take that one first, because that one's probably a slightly quicker answer. So we invoice students every study period, and we send a notification to the student via a text message as well as their Deakin email account to say your invoices are available. And so the student just needs to log into Student Connect and view their invoice, and then they can see how much their studies are costing them for that particular study periods. So it will show the unit costs, plus something called a student services and amenities fee, or any other fee that may be incurred relating to that study period. And so a student does need to view that invoice, and we recommend that they do that regularly, just to ensure that they know what they're enrolled in. And if they make any variation to their enrolment, they'll need to generate a new invoice to see that variation take place if it's before census date. When we will then report that information or that help debt to the government past something called a census date, which is the date your enrolment is locked in. We report that debt through the through the Department of Education to the tax office. And there's this portal site called My Help Balance with the government. And you can log into My Help Balance and actually see your help balance. And you can do that through MyGov as well. So there's a loan scheme, a help loan scheme option in MyGov, as well as being available through this My Help Balance, which is links on our fee pages, plus it's also on the Government Study Assist site.
So students can check their help balance at any time.
At any time.
At any time. And you mentioned the student services and amenities fee, Pam. Can you explain if that is relevant to all students and how many times a year they pay the SAF and what it might cover?
Yeah, so the student services and amenities fee, we charge twice a year for students enrolled in semester 1, trimester 1, and semester 2, trimester 2. And so we, the government sets the maximum amount to be charged, and the university charges in line with that maximum charge, and it will appear on a student's invoice. So if a student was enrolled in trimester 3, then it won't appear on that invoice because we only charge in those 2 study periods. So the information on the SAF is available on the website. And what I might do is I might just bring up information about the SAFs just so that people can see, because if I told you, it would be a long list if I told you about what what we can actually use the SAF for. So looking here at the SAF for 2022, we charge students $156 for an on-campus rate in both the study periods 1 and 2. So it sort of totals around that $312 a year. So that's where we are there. We've got information here about how the SAF was charged or how we used it. So in 2021, you can see there that we used advocacy, we did sporting, we did engagement, student media, and welfare. So this is just some of how the information, how the SAF is actually used. And
Pam, could you just, sorry to interrupt, can you just explain what DUSA is?
DUSA is the Deakin University Student Association, and they run clubs and help with advocacy, sporting, and different programs such as financial counsellors. They also offer sort of more of that student engagement activities. So we really encourage students to look at DUSA as part of their university journey, just to connect and engage with other students, because I know that it's been difficult through remote learning through COVID. So really DUSA can bring everyone back and really make that campus experience more vibrant.
Right,
so,
thank you.
And there was one other thing I want to cover with the SAF, and I'll just go back a page. Deakin does have a consultation process on how you want the SAF monies to be spent. And so information here is on the website, and we really do recommend that all students have a say in how their money is spent, because without that say, the student may not feel like they're having a voice in how the money is spent. So it's really important to look at this consultation process, which is available and open every year, and have a say in how they wish the money is spent. And so we've got a page on the website about how to use, how to do that.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you very much, Pam. And just to pull us back to HEXHelp again, one of our viewers has asked, is HEXHelp eligibility based on parental income?
We sometimes get this, and I do need to say upfront, no. Straight answer is no. There is no means testing for HEXHelp. It is a loan between the student and the government, and there is no parental income. That's Centrelink, and it's completely different from HEXHelp. And so the information on eligibility for HEXHelp is actually on our website, as well as the Government Study Assist. So no, your parental income has no factor in HEXHelp eligibility.
Great. And just on HEXHelp, will students get charged interest on their help debt?
So the government doesn't call it interest. So no, there is no interest. But the actual capital amounts, the amount of that accumulated help balance, it does get indexed every year. So the government doesn't call it interest, it calls it indexation. And the indexation just keeps the help amount in line with the the consumer price index and real world expenses. So the amount of the accumulated help debt gets indexed on the 1st of June every year in line with CPI. So the amount does increase, but it's not interest, it's indexation.
Okay, and is there a loan application fee?
Not for HECS Help. There isn't a loan application fee. There is a loan application fee for students undertaking fee help at an undergraduate level, but that doesn't usually occur at Deakin. So we don't usually have students in a full fee paying place in an undergraduate degree eligible for fee help. So, but yes, there is a loan application fee for fee help, but not for HECS Help, which is the one we've been talking about.
Great, thank you very much. And just going back to the student services and amenities fee we were talking about earlier, do you have to pay that as an online student?
Yes, there is a charge rate for online students, and Deakin sets that in acknowledgement of that many students aren't going on campus, but there is definitely a charge rate for online students, and that is an acknowledgement also that students can access the services provided remotely.
Okay, thank you very much. And this question may be from a current student, I'm not sure, but it's still relevant to our conversation today. If my amenities fee has something owing on my invoice, but my invoice says 0 owing, what does that mean? So I think the student is wondering if they owe fees, but their invoice says 0, what does that mean?
This means that they've got help schemes in place. So they will have a HECS Help scheme in place where they nominated to pay their HECS Help or their student contribution amount upfront, and that their student services and amenities fees, they would have also nominated to pay that, also not upfront, through HECS Help, and their student services and amenities fee through SA Help. So they've got 2 active help schemes in place. And so whilst they're being charged a fee, they've got 2 active help schemes, HECS Help and SA Help, which is covering the cost of the those 2 fees. And that's why the invoice would show nothing as owing, because they're actually going to defer both of those costs through a loan with the government and to the ATO.
Okay, and students can elect to pay that student services and amenities fee up front, can't they?
Yes,
Even
they
if they're
can.
deferring their tuition fees.
Yes, they can. They just have to be mindful not to complete the SA Help form, because if they complete the SA Help form, they've told us as the university facilitating the help schemes, plus the government, that they wish to have a loan for that fee. So if they do not wish to have a loan for the student services and amenities fee, then they don't complete the SA Help form, and that fee will then show as owing on their invoice. And they just need to make sure they pay that by their invoice due date.
Great, thank you, Pam. And if a student decides to defer their fees in their first year of studies, and then for whatever reason they decide I'm going to pay my fees up front, can they change their options?
Yes, so there's a form in Student Connect, which is the Commonwealth Assistance form, and they just complete that and they just make a nomination in that. So if the change of nomination is before the census date, so that date that the university locks in their enrolment, then it will apply for that study period because it's before, they're notifying the university before. If it's after the census date, it'll apply to the next study period. But the student can change the nomination at any time. They could also do something where they say, I want to defer, I want to pay up front, and they make a payment, but they don't have enough money to cover the full costs. As long as they've got a HECS Help form in place, any amount unpaid as at the census date can be deferred to HECS Help. So the student can then sort of pay a portion, but not all.
Thank you very much, Pam. And we do have another question here. We touched on this a little bit earlier. How much does the indexation increase each year?
So the indexation increases
to CPI. Indexation on the loans.
Yeah, so it increases to CPI. So the taxation office, the ATO, will declare what that indexation rate is every year. The last couple of years, the CPI rate has been a little bit low. And I believe this year it is a little bit higher, obviously, as we're coming out of the pandemic. But the full information about the CPI increases are notified on the Taxation Office website.
Great, thank you very much. And we're coming to the end of our live Q&A session, so we only have time for a few more questions. So if you've got any questions that you really want answered, or if there's something we haven't covered so far, please pop your questions into the chat and we will pop them up on screen and answer them for you. Do you have any closing comments for our viewers, Pam? Anything you would like to talk about?
Not related to fees, but related to scholarships, which
Yes.
I was had the joy to participate in just earlier today. Always put a scholarship application in because that can help with costs associated with study, such as tuition fee or books or technology. So it's always really important to get your scholarship application in, because if you don't, then you won't be considered. And when it comes to fees and HECS Help specifically, those two numbers I mentioned before, the USI, so the unique student identifier, and your tax file number, make sure you've got them now or getting them now, because what we find is when the new academic year starts, there's many students trying to get the same numbers, and particularly with a tax file number, the whole experience may be delayed. So get it now while it's quieter, and you can be prepared for next year.
Great advice, Pam. And we've just had another question pop in. Can I apply for HECS Help if I study part-time?
Yes, so HECS Help refers to your fees, part-time refers to your study load. So when it comes to deferring the cost, if eligible, if you meet the citizenship requirements and the residency requirements, then yes, you just complete a form in Student Connect or as part of the enrolment process and tell the university how you wish to pay for those fees, whether it's upfront or through HECS Help. But it's not on your study load, it's on fees. So as long as fees have been assessed or incurred for that study period and you're eligible for citizenship and residency, then yes, that would apply.
Great, thank you very much for that information. So it doesn't look like we've got any questions coming through. So we might just wrap it up unless you've got something else you would like to, if you'd like to.
I just want to wish everyone good luck with their journeys and how exciting it is to be part. Oh, sorry, you've got a question?
Yes, I've got a question. Fantastic. Thank you to the person who just popped that one in. And it's a really good question, actually. Can you use scholarships to pay HECS?
So some of the scholarships do cover the tuition fee costs. So some, such as the Vice Chancellor's Academic Excellence Scholarship or Deakin Scholarship for Excellence, do cover tuition fees or a portion of the tuition fee, depending on the payment amount. Other scholarships will pay a cash payment, and that cash payment you can then decide whether or not you want to use that for study-related expenses or tuition fees. Scholarship payments are usually after census date though, so you would need to save that money for the next study period or pay back a credit card or something like that, but that would be the scholarship recipient's nomination. But as I say, the Vice Chancellor's Academic Excellence Scholarship or Deakin Scholarship for Excellence does have that sort of built-in option to pay some tuition fees.
Fantastic, and that was a great question. So we've come to the end of our live Q&A session. If you do have any unanswered questions, our team of experts are available on web chat all day to assist you. So you just use the Ask Now button at the bottom. So thank you to everyone for joining us. It's really great to see so many people interested in fees and HECS Help. And thanks to Pam, our presenter, and to Josephine and Sue behind the scenes answering all those questions. If you'd like to learn more, you'll also find loads of really useful information on the Deakin Open Day website, and we encourage you to explore that. Thank you for your time, and we hope to see you at Deakin soon.